Hey guys, so this is take two recording this, um, which you wouldn't have known if I hadn't said that. But what I'm going to talk about today is an editing checklist. And what Mrs. Parks and I, Miss Munch, and Mr. Riley have done is we've kind of come up with a list of things that we would like you guys to check over when we finish writing our ERQs. So last week we wrote our first ERQ about the Holocaust and how it affected the Jewish people. And what we noticed was that you guys had great responses. You were able to talk about like the connections between how they were affected and why the Holocaust started. You did a great job of going back and looking at evidence and making connections between what we learned and what your claim was, and having really great reasonings explaining how your evidence supported your claims. But the one thing we did notice is that our punctuation, capitalization, and grammar kind of fell short of what we were looking for. So what ended up happening was that we spent a lot of time looking to make sure we had capital letters where we needed them, periods at the end of our sentences, things that we really shouldn't have to be looking for at this point in time. And what we would like to do is spend more time making sure and reading your responses to see the connections you are making and saying that is a really great point and they had something awesome to say. But that's hard to do when we're spending all of our time making sure that you're just following the rules of writing. So what we have is a checklist that we're going to post in all of your summit assignments that require a written response. So when we have ERQs written in the CER, claim evidence reasoning format, you can expect to see this chart. And after you get done writing, you're going to go through this chart and you're going to fill it out. So I'm going to explain how to use it. This video will be available to you if you forget or if you get confused. So here we go. All you have to do is once you finish your writing, you're going to go through this list and you're going to ask yourself, do I have correct capitalization? So the beginning of sentences should be capitalized every single time. No excuse. So you're going to go back to the start of all your sentences and you're going to make sure that they're capitalized. That first word should be capitalized. And then you're going to look for proper nouns. So proper nouns are the names of people, places, or historical events in the case of the unit we're on right now. So Nazis, Holocaust, Jews, World War II. Those are all things that we're talking about right now, and those are all the names of things that should be capitalized. Names like Mrs. Parks, Mr. Snyder, your name is capitalized when you write it on your paper. So things like that need to be capitalized. If it's not, correct it, and then check yes under yes with student. Then you're going to check for correct punctuation. You should have something at the end of your sentences. If it's a period that you need, put a period. If you are excited about something, put an exclamation point. If you're asking a question, put a question mark. Make sure that you're using commas if you need commas so that your sentences aren't just run-on sentences. We can talk more about that in class. But please have punctuation at the end of your sentences every single time. Then you're going to check for correct spelling. On your documents, if you don't spell something correctly, you're going to have a red squiggly line underneath of it. If you see a red squiggly line on your paper, check the spelling. There's no excuse for that one. Because there's a red squiggly line, it's telling you, I'm spelled wrong. Fix me. So fix it. And then lastly, do you have correct CER format? Does it follow the claim first, the evidence second, and the reasoning third? And you should have at least 4 sentences, because a paragraph to begin with is at least 4 sentences. And secondly, your reasoning usually needs more than 1 sentence to explain something. There's very, very rarely situations where your reasoning is good as just like 1 sentence, because oftentimes you need more than 1 sentence to make something clear, to make something make sense, especially if I, as the reader, don't know what you're talking about. So These are all the things that you need to check. You can also see that there's a student section and a teacher section. You're going to fill out the student section because you are the student. So as you check it, hopefully all of your boxes are checked yes. If you check something no, go back and fix it before you turn it in. That's the point of this. If you check any of these boxes no, please fix it before you turn it in. So your goal is to check all of these things, check each of these as yes, and when you turn it into me, I can go through really quickly, read your paper. If you do not have correct capitalization, I'm going to put an X under no. If you do, I'll put an X under yes. Same thing for punctuation, spelling, CER format. Now, if me or Mrs. Parks or Miss Munch or Mr. Riley, depending on who you have for language arts, have to mark no, and we send your paper back to you with a yellow or a red, that tells you what you have to fix. So if we mark no next to correct capitalization, we suggest that you go back and look at each of your words to make sure you have capitalized all the names of places, people, or events. If you haven't, fix it. If we mark no under correct punctuation, make sure you have a period or a question mark or an exclamation point at the end of all of your sentences. And if you don't, put one there. Then check your spelling. Do you have any red lines? If we mark no, then check your spelling. There should be a red line. And if there's not a red line and you're confused about what you spelled wrong, ask. And finally, if we put no next to CER format, look at your writing. Do you have a claim? Do you have evidence? And do you have a reasoning that supports that evidence? So, we will be using this for the first time on your final product this week. Hopefully this makes sense. And if it doesn't, we'll be able to explain it a little bit more in class. But this is just a really quick rundown of what this editing checklist is for. So have a good day. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow during our live Zoom call. And that's it. See ya.